when a tailgunner and sabotage saved a B-17. The B-17 Miss Temperance roared above the fractured clouds, her four right cyclone engines straining as she cut through the frozen airspace over Nazi-occupied France. It was her 17th mission, and for the crew of 10, the number 17 held no charm. Staff Sergeant Henry Hawk Lawson crouched low in the tailgunner's nest, eyes narrowed behind thick goggles, fingers locked around the twin .50 caliber Browning machine guns. He'd been a farmer's son back in Iowa, quiet, practical, and sturdy, but war had a way of chiseling men into sharper versions of themselves. The tail was his world now, a lonely perch in the sky with only bullets and the wind for company. Up in the cockpit, Captain David Rourke, commander of the Miss Temperance, double-checked the flight path as his co-pilot murmured weather updates. The bombing target was a rail yard in Metz, a key supply line for the Wehrmacht. Simple objective, until the flak came. But today there was something else. Something gnawed at Henry's gut. A tension not born from fear of enemy fire, but something internal, wrongness that lived inside the aircraft itself. It started 3 hours before takeoff at RAF Philly. "Why the hell are you here so early, Hawk?" barked Tech Sergeant Eli Barnett, the crew's mechanic and engineer, as Henry walked the length of the B-17 in the pre-dawn dark. "Couldn't sleep," Henry said, voice quiet. "Felt like someone was watching us." Eli chuckled. "Your sixth sense again?" Henry gave a slow nod. He didn't joke about feelings like that. Back in Belgium, he'd sensed something off and spotted a camouflaged flak battery that saved the crew's lives. They listened when he got that look now. Eli grunted. Well, if someone was snooping, they didn't leave tracks. But they had. Henry found an access panel on the starboard wing slightly ajar, the screws not quite flush. "Check everything," he told Eli, voice ironclad. They did. Everything looked normal. But Henry knew better. Now, 6,000 feet above Metz, flak exploded like black flowers in the sky. "Enemy fighters, 2 o'clock high," the top turret gunner shouted. Henry swiveled. Messerschmitts. He squeezed the triggers. His guns barked fire, stitching the sky with deadly arcs. One fighter caught the stream, spiraled in flame. "Good hit, Hawk," someone yelled through the comms. But the B-17 shuddered. Not from flak. From inside. "Rourke, engine 3's losing pressure." Eli's voice cracked through the intercom. "Feather it. Switch to emergency fuel," Rourke commanded. No response. "Wait, pressure dropping on engine 2 now." A cold sweat trickled down Henry's spine. 2 engines failing? That wasn't chance. The B-17 banked hard as the plane bucked and dipped, fighters swarming. Hawk's gun screamed again as he held back the onslaught. Then he saw it. A shadow, inside the fuselage, moving near the bomb bay. He clicked to private comms. "Rourke, we've got a stowaway." "What?" "Someone inside." "Not crew." There was silence. Then, "Eli, confirm everyone's accounted for." 10 on board, but Hawk's right. "That's 11. Rourke's voice dropped. "Hawk, we're opening the bomb bay in 2 minutes. Can you intercept?" Henry's mind raced. Leaving the tail would mean no rear cover. "I'll go. Lock the tail from inside. If I don't come back, keep flying." He unlatched his harness, grabbed a sidearm, and crawled through the narrow fuselage. Wind howled through bullet holes in the hull. His boots clanged metal. The vibrations of the crippled engines echoed like a dirge. He reached the bomb bay catwalk. There, crouched beside the release lever, was a man in mechanic's overalls, someone he didn't recognize. He was planting a charge. "Step away," Henry shouted, gun raised. The saboteur spun and drew a Luger. Shots rang. One clipped Henry's arm. He fired back. Missed. The man lunged. They slammed into the catwalk rail, both teetering over the gaping bomb bay doors as the wind shrieked. "Who sent you?" Henry roared. The saboteur grinned. "You already lost." Then he headbutted Henry. Stars exploded in his vision. But Henry remembered the photos taped to the side of his gun station, his kid brother's baseball card, his mother's face, his father's weather-worn hands. He growled and surged forward, slamming the saboteur into the side wall. The man tried to activate the charge. Too late. Henry shot him point-blank. The saboteur crumpled, falling into the open bay, disappearing into the sky. Henry grabbed the charge, heart pounding. "Bomb bay secure," he radioed, staggering. "Saboteur eliminated." The intercom erupted in relieved cheers. But it wasn't over yet. "Captain," Eli said breathlessly. He rigged the fuel lines. "We've got 20 minutes, tops." "And we're still 100 miles from friendly airspace," Rourke muttered. Henry fought dizziness and climbed back to the tail. He strapped in, bleeding, exhausted, but alert. More fighters appeared. "I've got he whispered, teeth clenched. The B-17 limped like a dying beast, but Henry's gun sang again, vengeance and adrenaline keeping him alive. 2 fighters down. Then 3. They made it to the Channel coast just as the final engine began to cough. "Prepare to ditch," Rourke ordered. But a miracle broke through the clouds. 2 P-51 Mustangs roaring in like angels with wings of silver. They escorted Miss Temperance back to England, barely keeping her aloft. The debrief was long. The saboteur was a Luftwaffe agent planted through a forged RAFID. His mission: take out a high-value B-17 midair without witnesses. He nearly succeeded. Henry received the Distinguished Flying Cross. He didn't say much during the ceremony. Afterward, Eli slapped him on the back. "How'd you know, Hawk?" Henry looked out toward the tarmac, where Miss Temperance was undergoing repairs. "I didn't," he said softly, "but I trust my gut." He turned to Eli. "And I trust the people who fly with me." The wind swept across the airfield, carrying the promise of more missions, more danger. But as long as Henry "Hawk" Lawson was in the tail, the enemy would never have an easy shot. And Miss Temperance, scarred, battered, but unbroken, would always find her way home.